Welcome to this video review. As you can see, I have a completely new Vortex Razor HD LHT rifle scope. Something I would say this series came out in 2020. It's completely fresh and it's a bit of a different Vortex than we are used to, because Vortex with this scope went directly into a hunting segment. Honestly speaking, a long-range hunting segment, which is becoming more and more popular, especially here in Europe. And we are a Vortex distributor, so we always have talks with them on SHOT Show and on EVA, on these big fairs, industry fairs. And we always say, okay, you make great tactical scopes, you make great target scopes and so on. Let's do something for hunters, and let's do something what European hunters will also look, because in the US, when you do a hunting scope, you're basically talking about a 1-inch small scope. And this was something what Vortex did a couple of years ago. So they did razors with 1-inch tube with non-illuminated reticles for hunters. And in Europe, those scopes didn't sell, because in Europe people have different needs. And European hunters, they basically think differently than the American hunters. A lot of hunting in Europe is done in dusk and dawn. You always need the illuminated reticle and so on. And this is the answer. This is the first Vortex which is made for the Europeans, for the European hunters, I would say. Even though I am thinking that with one leg they were still standing in the US when they were designing it. So it's really a step forward towards European hunters, but it's made in a way that also the American hunters will still use it. It's hard to say if this is a mistake or if it's not. At the end of the review, I'll go through the negatives and the positives, and I will say a little bit more where they were holding back a bit, not to go fully towards the European hunters. Okay. So this scope doesn't have real predecessors, even though there are many Vortex scopes with a Razor name. But when you see the philosophy of the scope itself, how it's made, and all the features, you see that it's basically it was made on a blank sheet of paper. It's fully waterproofed, it's fully fog-proofed, it's filled with argon. It's made in Japan, like all Razor scopes. And it's quite light, only 580 grams. So there are two models in this series. There is one 3 to 15 by 42, which is even lighter. And both of these two scopes could be used for mountain hunting in Europe, or for, like I said, long-range hunting. It also features the parallax adjustment from 20 meters onwards, all the way to infinity. And it's really nice. The parallax has a long travel and a good feel to it. And because it's marked in meters, I think that this is one of the indicators that this was meant for the European market. As you can see here, it's marked in meters. What is also very interesting is that design-wise, when you look at all the details, it's not so typically a Razor and it's not so typically a Vortex. If you cover the signed Vortex, you would need a couple of minutes to really be sure that this is Vortex or not. The illumination, it's powered with this button, very similar to the Leupold scopes, very similar than Unipoint when Doctor was still around. So you're pushing the button and you're changing the intensity level. The illumination is powered by a normal CR2032 battery. And you get a VIP lifetime warranty with it. In Europe, that means 30 years. Together with the scope, you get a bikini scope covers, the sunshade, the product manual, so the rifle scope manual, which explains everything about the scope, about the parallax, how to mount it, and so on. And you also get a Reticle Manual. This is something really nice what Vortex always does with their scopes. They explain the whole reticle with all the subtensions and so on. The reticle is second focal plane, so they have examples in it how to range it and how to do bullet drop compensation with this reticle, I do think that with the second focal plane reticle, this is not really usable. To be honest, if you wish to do all this with a reticle, go with the first focal plane. You also get a coupon for a free ballistic strip, so you can put your numbers for the distances on the turret, and you make BDC turret out of a tactical open turret. Really, really nice. Okay, about the reticle, second focal plane, and it's very simple. It has two lines for bullet drop compensation, a small dot in the center which is illuminated. That's also nice, that only the dot is illuminated, nothing around it. Very European, very hunting orientated. A really good one. What needs to be said is that the reticle is conventional when we talk about the illumination. It doesn't have an optical fiber in it, like the Viper PST scopes have and normally all the Razors and so on. So it's only low light usable. It's not daytime bright, but in a scope like this you don't need daytime brightness. Even though for this price point, the scope here in Europe costs around 1,300 euros, 1,200, 1,300. It depends on the dollar-euro exchange rate. You would expect better illumination, so you would expect the optical fiber to be in it. Even though the reticle as such, the way it's made, it is completely usable. It has 10 different intensity levels. With the push of a button you go through them, and when you're at the highest intensity level it starts to blink. To turn it off you just push it for 4 seconds and it will turn off. The turrets, the windage turret, it's a normal hunting turret, capped, firm, a little bit less audible than we would wish, but still crisp clicks and easy to use. On the windage, I'm sure you will just use it once when you zero it and that's it. Then we have the elevation turret, which has a locking function. Really nice. For hunters, this is a must. And normally it has 1 centimeter clicks. You can also get it with 1/4 MOA, and then you have a matched reticle with that clicks. But here, and you can see 60 clicks in 1 revolution. So 100 clicks in 1 revolution or 10 mils would be better. The total elevation range and windage range is 23 mils. So enough, or even more than expected, to be honest. The turret also features zero stop, which is really, really important. And it's normally resettable to 0. It has a hard 0 stop, so it's really nice. If I talk about the optics, so the magnification range goes from 3 to 15. It's a perfect for European hunter. Even if you hunt in the mountains, you will rarely need more than 15. And you can see the fast focus, it's lockable. So you're able to lock the fast focus, and the whole eyepiece part moves when you change the diopter setting. And this lockable function is a nice touch, nice addition, because we almost forgot about a feature like this. Not many scopes feature this. The field of view is approximately 12 meters, which is not that much, but the eye relief is 96 millimeters, which is really a lot. So you can mount it even on a really hard-kicking hunting rifles and it will not touch your face. The eye box is also okay. It's acceptable for this price range, and I would say average. And I would say in general, the optics, however, because it wears a Razor name, you expect a bit more, to be honest. Even the field of view with 12 meters per 100 meters with a 3-time magnification, you expect a bit more, honestly speaking, from a Razor. Because when you look at the Razor HD tactical scopes, they really have great optics. This one, I would say, is just a little bit above Vipers. And for me personally, a Viper HD LHT would be a better name, because the expectation from Razor name are so much higher. Okay, at the end of this video review, I will do a summary with sweet and sour, or what are the positive sides of this product and what are the negatives, where is still some room for improvement. So what I think is really positive is that Vortex finally made something for the European hunters, because Europe has 480 million people, and there are many hunters in Europe, all the way from Norway, Finland, and all the way down to the Greece and the Balkans and so on. So really a lot of hunters. And since Vortex produces, I don't know, 40, 50 different scopes for tactical users, why shouldn't they produce at least one or two for the hunters? And the hunters in Europe are different than those in the US, so they need scopes which are different. If this scope would feature a 56mm objective lens, it would be even better for the European hunters, because Europeans still prefer bigger lens diameters because they usually hunt in low light. Okay, what are the positives? Let's say 1,300 euros. You had a really good BDC turret, and I'm sure that it tracks well, because all Vortex scopes track well. And this is something where majority of European competitors have a little bit of problems. So when you're looking at the scopes with proper BDC turrets, they're immediately around 2,000 euros. So if I'm thinking about Swarovski Z6, Leica Fortis, Zeiss V6, who else has a BDC turret? Kahles has an Helia, but okay, the turret is not equally advanced as this one. So this is the biggest selling point in Europe. Somebody who is looking for a scope below 2,000 euros, around 1,000 euros, and wishes to have a proper tactical turret which can be converted with this ballistic strip to a BDC turret. So a turret which has markings for the distances. And this is the strongest point of Vortex. The second strong point is size and weight, because you can put this on a light rifle and go and hunt in the mountains for chamois. So something light and small. I also think that the magnification range is a sweet point of this scope. 3 to 15 is perfect for European hunters. The basic philosophy to do a small, compact and light scope with a really good turret, with good tracking, with a zero stop and locking mechanism, that's perfect. And with a hunting reticle, because the reticle, even though it has two lines for holdovers, it's still a hunting reticle with a small central dot where only the dot is illuminated. All this ticks the right boxes. Where it doesn't tick the right boxes, first of all, the price point. I think that a price point around 1,000 euros would kill even more competition, to be honest. Because with 1,300 euros you are already close to, let's say, 1,700 euros, where you find like a Fortis which optically kills this product. Normally it's so much more expensive. The second thing what I think is the Razor name. They should go two ways. Either go with a Viper name for this product, or to put a much better optics into a Razor scope. Honestly speaking, the optics on this product is more like, at least in my opinion, more in the lines of Viper. I also think that if you don't need the turret, then the competition is really fierce, because this scope then competes directly with Noblex scopes. It competes directly with Steiner scopes. It competes really closely with Kahles, Helia scopes, which optically are on a completely different level. So it has really fierce competition. And with 12 meters of field of view, it lags when it comes to optical performance with others. But normally, the others, they lag because they don't have the same turret. So for someone who is looking for a long-range scope for long-range hunting, the turret will be more important than bigger field of view and a crisper image. What I also think is that many competitors in this class, let's look at the Steiner Ranger models. If you direct competitor also with the turret, but not equally, the turret not on the same level, is the Steiner 4 to 16 by 56 Steiner Ranger scope. This one has the advantage that it's smaller and lighter, but the Steiner has the advantage that it has a much better illuminated dot. So it has an optical fiber in the reticle. And I think that for Vortex, this would be a nice improvement with the Gen 2 of this scope, to put an optical fiber reticle in it and to bigger the field of view, because you need 15 meters of field of view on a scope like this to compete in Europe. All in all, it's a niche product for long-range hunters, and it is in a segment where there is not much competition if you are in a need for a really good BDC open tactical turret. And I think it's a good try. For the first time for Vortex to produce something for the European hunters, it's a very decent try and a very decent product. And when you add the Vortex VIP warranty, lifetime warranty, that means in Europe at least 30 years, you get a product which gives you, I would say, good package of quality and features for its price point. So all in all, a good product, but I think it could have been done even better. The second gen will be, I'm sure. Thank you for watching. Please check our other reviews on this channel, and if you have any additional questions, please send us an email.